If you clicked on this video, chances are you're selling premium services, whether it's CFO, advisory, coaching, and you want to sell more. And in recent conversations with our clients, I have noticed that there is one major mistake when it comes to selling more of these services. So in this video, I'm gonna share what the mistake is, but more importantly, how you can make sure not to make it. That way you can sell more deals at higher price points, higher close rates, and shorter sales cycles. Now, if we haven't met, my name is Daniel Schulte. We help professional service firms double their firm with paid ads. And one of the things that we do with our clients is we help them review their sales calls, okay? And a lot of the times when you're selling some type of tax or accounting service, right, whether again that's CFO or tax planning, right, one of the big things that we like to focus on is the numbers, okay? Hey, you paid this much in tax last year, right? Or hey, your numbers are this on the CFO side. You know, and typically this right here is what most service providers immediately go into, okay? And at the end of the day, right, there's kind of two sides of the brain. There is the logical brain, which I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe is the neocortex side of the brain. And then the other side is the emotional side of the brain, okay? This is the reptilian side of the brain, you know, that allows you to kind of have those more feelings, okay? Now, when people are talking about numbers, typically what happens is immediately people go into the logical side of the brain. But what's interesting is that the higher you go up, okay, in what it is that you sell, typically, not always, all right, but specifically for premium services and high-end services, it's actually less about the logical side, okay? Now, you're probably sitting here and thinking, Daniel, that's absolutely absurd, right? We're talking about, you know, 5-figure, 6-figure contracts here. How is it not about the logical side and not about the logical numbers? Well, if you're asking that, let me pose a question to you. If most purchases, premium purchases in particular, not, you know, everyday functional purchases, but if premium services were solely based on logical decision making, why does Rolex sell so many watches? Why does Ferrari sell so many cars? And at the highest profit margin too. They're actually the car manufacturer with the highest profit percentage compared to all the other car manufacturers out there. If that's the case, who buys a Rolex to tell time? Who buys a Ferrari to get from point A to point B? Who buys a Louis Vuitton just to put stuff in? And the answer is probably not 99% of people who buy those things. And that's because, right, it comes into emotionally what that thing is going to get them. So a really quick example of this, all right? This is where your prospect is starting, okay? And let's just put this as a sad face, right? Maybe their company isn't as profitable as they want it to be, which is why they're looking into your CFO services, okay? Maybe they didn't get quoted the highest multiple they were hoping to sell their business for. Maybe their tax bill is way too high, okay? And this is where they want to be, okay? This is the end result, all right? Now, most people confuse the end result with their product, okay? They think that this spot right here, let's just take, you know, the CFO for example, okay? Guy's not making as much money as he wants to. So the person selling the CFO service says, hey, the end result is having a CFO. But that is not what the prospect wants. You see, the prospect wants what the vehicle is going to do for them. The CFO services is going to do for them, which yes, right, is a more profitable company, okay? But this right here is still the logical side of the brain, okay? So the question to ask here is, well, Mr. Prospect, why, right? What is a more profitable company gonna do for you that you can't do now? Is it gonna allow you to hire that general manager so you can go and spend more time with your kids, right? Oh, why is that more important to you? Oh, because your father was, gone working 24/7 in his business while you were growing up, and because of it, you don't have as much of a relationship with him, and you don't want to make that same mistake. Okay? So at the end of the day, right, it's not selling your product or your service, it's selling what that is going to do for them. Now, we've all heard this term, right? Present value, right? You want to show value. You want to demonstrate value. But here's the thing, okay? Not everybody has the same values. And here's an example of we'll stick with the CFO scenario here, okay? One person might want it so that they can be more profitable, so they can hire that general manager, so they can spend more time with their kids, so they can have a good relationship to make them feel better, okay? That might be their value, okay? The other person might do it, okay, because he's competitive, right? And he wants to be the most profitable out of his friend group, right? So for him, right, his values are different, okay? Now here's the thing. You can't present value until you know what's valuable to them. We have a client who owns a CFO tax strategy firm, and his values is that he wants the best. Okay? He prides himself on being the best. He prides himself on having his team be the best, and he prides himself on working with the best service providers. So the best, right? It's kind of like Trump, right? Everything's huge, everything the best that it's ever been. Okay? Well, when we're going in and pitching our marketing services, we don't lead with, oh, we're the fastest. Oh, we're the most efficient. Okay? We're blah 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 blah. We don't do any of that. What we say is we are the best. Okay? So at the end of the day, a really simple way to think about this, is your job when we're selling these higher end products is to find out what their end result is. What's the emotional desire that they have? Okay? And in case you're saying nobody buys on emotion, okay, well, you don't buy something unless you feel like buying it, right? Unless it's a commodity like gas or your electric bill, okay? You don't buy the thing unless you feel like buying it, right? The house that you chose to live in is because you felt like living in that house, right? And so we want to have them paint the picture to us on what that end result is. That's going to be done through questions, right? Why is that important to you? What makes you want to do that, okay? And then we tie the product from where they are as the bridge to where they want to be, okay? So again, just to kind of recap here, the product is not what we're selling as the end result, okay? That's not what we're selling. We're selling the product as a means to an end, right? A means to their end result. And that is the biggest mistake that I personally see people making, right? They think it's a logical pitch. They think this, right, is the end result that people want. Again, that's not the end result that people want. People buy Rolex because it signifies status, right? People buy Louis Vuitton because it feels exclusive, right? And people buy these higher end products, right, based on their values. Because when money is not a problem, okay, you don't go based on function, right? You go based on what's the best for you. And again, what's best for you is going to be dictated based on your values, okay? And so the way that you uncover that is you find out what their values are so you can then go and present the value, all right? So, hope this video was helpful. Again, that's the biggest mistake that we see right now. Now, another big mistake that I see is that you can have the best closer in the world, you can have the best sales team in the world, but if they don't have anybody to talk to, or worse, they don't have the right people to talk to, then none of this will work. So there's two things you need. First, you need somebody to be willing to buy. That's the easy part. But then they also have to have the financial ability to buy. So if you're finding that you're getting really crappy leads, or your sales team is not closing because of the lead quality, then make sure to check out this video next. This video is going to share exactly how you can start attracting these people, high quality leads on a predictable basis.